Recording in progress. How lovely.
This is for Brenda. This is for Brenda.
Oh, Brenda. Okay. No, I can't get rid of that now.
Oh, well, you hit the thing called got it. Oh,
got it.
No, just do home, David. Home.
Home.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
Oh, right. There we go. Okay. Right. Well, thank you for the American lady that's joined us, whoever she is, all the way from California. So welcome to California. Two things to note today after my little introduction, which I think I've finished on. Number one, I haven't the time to go on a trip today. The trip I will tell you about would have been, and you can easily substitute it with your own location. But the location was to be Chelmsford, and you had the opportunity of sitting inside a coffee shop or outside a coffee shop. And I know what you would have chosen, bearing in mind that the temperature out there is probably about -7. Well, my car still thinks it's -7, and it's not in the sun, and it won't be until this afternoon. And I think it will take about a week and a half to thaw it out, which is a bit urgent since I need it in the very near future. So sorry about that, but no trip today, but I think that you can substitute your own if you are of a mind, and I know you all are. And secondly, talking about diaries, in February, the third Wednesday in February, I will be away. And so we're looking for somebody to host a self Zoom group. Mo has very kindly not volunteered.
I can do the Zoom. No problem with that.
Oh, can you do the Zoom? Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
Okay.
What I'm saying is I don't want to organise the trip. Or
No, that's all right. Well, I'll tell you the subject before I go away. I just I won't be around for the third Wednesday. I will be on the other side of the world, I'm pleased to say.
Oh, where are you going?
On that occasion, I should be, I'll tell you now. Just need to look at my diary and see. The third Wednesday in February, it should be
Australia.
No, not quite.
I wish.
I should be chasing lions in East Africa.
Oh, wow.
East
Don't get
Africa.
eaten.
Don't get eaten. That is a very important principle. Otherwise, you just get the bits back or not, as the case may be. Depends what the lion spits out. But there we go. Anyway, so sorry for that. But if Mo can run the Zoom, then you can have a what would David say session and chew the fat in my absence. And Mo, if you kindly record it, I will be interested to play the recording when I get back. And if I get back, I'll say it before Mags does.
David, do come back. We need you. We need you to come back.
We would like you to come back.
Come back.
Thank you.
It would make a mess for someone to clear up if the line ain't you.
And also, it's all the paperwork, isn't it?
Yeah,
It's
it's
all
awful.
paperwork. I mean, death
And by
causes
the
such a lot of
way,
paperwork.
by the way, they do have Zoom out there, especially out in the forests. Apparently, the lions.
Yeah.
It
The
might.
lions. Lion.
I can see you've never been to East Africa, Mo.
Yeah.
This is true.
So do the vultures. They have Zoom as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Right. Well, enough chit chat. So, surprise, surprise. Let's have a look and see what we've got. Well, Mo's chosen a rather splendid lady from the internet. I think this is rather better described as an interview at the dentist's, because I'm looking at her teeth, and does she need fillings? Has she got fillings? Has she got any gaps? So a dental lady there. And we moved on to Brenda's number one image. And my first thoughts when I saw this, let me just do something about the lighting here. I can see the image properly. my first thoughts were that the window in the conservatory had been broken, but then I realised that it's the lights catching the tree in the background, which catches my eye. Why does it catch my eye, ladies and gentlemen?
Because
It's
it's
a
the
bit
brightest.
bright.
Oh, who trained you? Who trained you? Maurice,
What
you
would
are
David
correct.
say?
Well done, the brightest object. In addition,
It's not surely.
the lady in question who is being shown something on the mobile phone, she to me is the subject, and the subject has to be sharp. And if I look at the background and then the lady, the background is sharper than the subject. So what's wrong with the settings on the camera? Anyone? Pitch?
The aperture,
Good. What should it have been?
I would say probably, well, F8.
I would say a lot wider than that, but you're
Would you?
right. Aperture is what's wrong. You needed to have it at a much
A
wider
big hole. Big
aperture.
hole.
Yeah.
Well, let's not be personal, Mo. But certainly a wider aperture, allowing the lady to be focused upon whilst leaving the background soft. And I was going to spend a moment or two in Lightroom and demonstrate that to you, and show a way of fiddling this photo or any other photo to get that right. This photo, I believe I'm right in saying, belongs to, I've forgotten.
Brenda.
Brenda. So Brenda, when you listen to this, make sure you check your aperture. Quite clearly, if this was taken at, let's say, f16 or f11, doesn't matter, and we open up the aperture to a larger hole, Mo said, that's a smaller number. What else would need to change so as to allow the photograph to be properly exposed on the subject, the lady?
Well, you'd need less light, wouldn't you?
So how are we going to do that then,
speed?
Bill?
Shutter speed.
Shorten the time up, yeah.
Shorter time, so faster shutter speed. So instead of the 50th of a second, you might have taken, what, the 500th of a second?
Yeah. The only
Okay.
trouble with all this is that the man and the hand would have probably gone out of focus.
You know
again.
what? I'm not worried about the man on the hand. The subject is the lady, and I'd want her in focus, and I
Well-
would bite the bullet that the man would be out of focus. That's okay with me. Wasn't where I was going to go, but let's talk about something else that we have revised and learned about. If I was going originally at a 50th of a second, and I decided to go faster, the shutter speed faster, and let's suppose I want to decrease the amount of light getting in, remembering that it's at a 50th of a second the image was taken. If I wanted to decrease the light by 1 stop, please tell me, what should the shutter speed be?
Hundredths of a second.
100th of a second. 2 stops?
200.
200.
200th of a second. 3 stops?
400.
Exactly right. So already you are technically brilliant at making your stops of light, and each stop is a successive halving of the light. In other words, from a 50th of a second to a 100th of a second is 1 stop, to a 200th of a second is 2 stops, to a 400th of a second is 3 stops, and so on. Okay, let's do the reverse. Suppose again we go back to the original photo and it was taken at well, let's do the easy one. Let's do f16. Yeah. And I want to open up the aperture to a wider hole. f16, we go down a stop from f16 to f8, 1 stop. From f8 down to f5.6, is 2 stops. And from 5.6 to 2.8, 3 stops. If 3 stops is what I have widened the aperture to, then I would need to increase the shutter speed by 3 stops so that the same amount of light reaches the sensor as in the first case. Increase one by 3 stops, decrease the other by 3 stops. Have I made that clear?
Mhm.
Yes.
Right, well done, class. Bill, you go to the top of the class. I heard the right answer 3 times over. So I'm
Okay.
just going to fiddle with your order on the screen and put you up to the top, I think. There you are, you're at the top of my screen. Look at that. Well, we have the technology.
Mo's above me on
No,
my
my
screen.
screen is not on my screen, not.
Oh, okay.
So I'll just get rid of you. Right, okay, so well done on that then, Brenda. Let's see whether we can revert to your next. No, we've chewed the fat on this one.
Right. David, before you move on,
Yeah,
could you go back? What is the subject of this photo?
the lady.
No, the title.
I think, yes.
What do you think that means?
I think, to me, it doesn't do anything. The title doesn't do anything for me.
I suggest he's
Yeah.
It's a
proposing.
proposal, isn't it?
It's a proposal. She's saying yes.
That's not a mobile phone, that's a ring box.
Exactly.
Oh,
But if you zoom into her left hand, you'll see a ring already on the finger.
That's a deliberate mistake.
Bigamy.
Bigamy, yes. I was just saying the titles are important. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, well done, Mo. Yeah, I was totally lost on that one, but that's a good point. You think that's a ring box? Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Definitely.
Thinking. Good.
Yeah.
Of course. That's
Yeah.
a surprise. That's the whole point. Surprise.
All right, we'll say it's an eternity ring. How about that?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that'll do. That'll do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Will that do?
Yeah.
I don't know about such things. Never had one. Nobody's ever given me an eternity ring.
well, it's not.
Oh, poor thing.
It's not a maternity ring.
Now, Brenda's chorizo, I rather like. Now, well, somebody that's no longer a member of the group gave me a critical comment. She said that the way I was judging was whether the images made me chuckle. Well, yes, absolutely fair dinkum. I do judge on whether I like, and in particular, whether the image makes me, the judge, smile, giggle, laugh, and enjoy it. So yes, I do. I am guilty as charged, and I make no apologies. This made me laugh. Chorizo, I think of chorizo as one of those greasy, slimy foreign sausages, and she's put it inside a banana skin. I think perhaps, as Mo was saying, I think it was Mo that said the titles are important, and I think perhaps you, ladies and gentlemen, could have given us a better title for this one. But I very much enjoy that image. What was getting back to the previous topic, what was the aperture?
Probably 5.6. Or,
Ooh, would you say?
well,
Remember-
it fades completely.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Really goes from sharp on the fat globules in this nasty foreign sausage, getting softer and softer and softer to almost imperceptible background there, and the banana skin. So I would say as wide an aperture as Brenda's lens allowed her to select, down in the 2.8, I suggest. But very well chosen. I love this very modest stroke line. Really well done. That's a cracker. That really is a cracker. So Brenda, that's a good one. I like that. Is it a surprise? Well, I'd be surprised if I peeled a banana and a greasy, smelly, garlicky foreign sausage popped out. That's the joke in the picture. I like it very much indeed. So, yeah, very good. So that's 2 ticks on Brenda's score sheet. And when we look at this, the surprise in the box, that's the little, it's not really a Father Christmas, is it? It's some sort of creature Christmas. And there's some cascade of sweeties coming up Quality Street. So I like that. Bit of fun, and I like it. And this is all about having fun. You know, I think some judges are so jolly serious that they are boring. And if I can't enjoy going to a club and looking at their images or looking at your images, then why do I bother? It's got to be entertaining. It's got to make me laugh. It's got to be interesting. So I like that. Well done, Brenda. Last surprise in the box. I like the title. I like the image, and I like this discreet choice of this Cadbury's purple. I once photographed a wedding, and all the bridesmaids were in Cadbury's purple, and they looked absolutely fantastic. What their behaviour was like, I won't go into, but let me say alcohol played a large part in it. So there we are. They were absolutely slewed. So there we are. Good one, Bren. I like that very much. Going to move on to Diana's. If I can get it to come up on the screen. Is it showing?
Yes.
I haven't got it in big though. Oh, there we go. Take me a minute. So we have He's behind you. That's very well thought of, Diana. And what is the gentleman reading? An outdoor magazine. That's great. And Brenda has chosen to set up a little studio setting here, perhaps in her conservatory. I speculate. I don't know. And she's hung a sheet. Why not? Perfectly good. I'm just going to look at the background at present. It's out of focus here behind the gentleman with the grey sweater on, but it's pretty much in focus here, which is a bit of a shame, but it shows you that you can just use a bed sheet or something that you used to cover the car windscreen with, stretch it out, and the way of doing it, I would suggest, is to get your subjects, the 2 men, the magazine and the chair, far enough in front of the screen that you can lose all the wrinkles and the light. What makes it even, shall I say, more troublesome is that the light, you can see from the wrinkles, the light is coming from the right-hand side over here somewhere. So there's a window or maybe a softbox, but I suspect it's an adjacent window, and it's oblique to the screen, to the backdrop, should I say. And it's giving us the highlights and the shadows, the highlights and the shadows, highlights and shadows, which is showing up the wrinkles in the screen. You do not need to iron the sheet to use it as a backdrop. You just need to have enough space to bring the subjects closer to you. You may actually be standing in the kitchen or the lounge or wherever and taking the photograph of your subjects in the conservatory. I merely speculate here. Maybe Diana will put us right in a moment. And the backdrop, the sheet, as far away from them as possible. Further to which, what would you say about the aperture that you should choose so as to drop that backdrop into softness whilst having the ability to keep the subjects sharp? Anyone?
Well, you could open it up a bit, I suppose.
Open it up. Yeah, you're right, Bill. So as to make more shallow, the depth of field, the depth of focus. In fact, you want probably a depth of focus. Look at the distance of the back of the right-hand man's head through to the closest part of the left-hand man, which I guess is this rather splendid jumper that he's wearing. You're probably going to want a depth of field of around about 50 centimetres.
The trouble is, if you did do that, you'd probably be be out of the bounds of the back cloth and things like that, because you couldn't move the chair and that away because you'd be in the back cloth. And if you look at
No,
David,
you're not going to move the chair away. You're going to bring the
no,
chair
but you said get it.
towards you.
You said
Bring it-
earlier on, get it further away from the screen. You couldn't.
No, you're not quite understanding what I'm meaning, or maybe I've said it wrongly. I want a greater distance between the men and the sheet.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that may require the photographer, Diana in this case, to be standing in the lounge and taking a picture through the lounge patio doors, let's say, I'm anything right near right, so as to get far enough away from them to be able to take the photo. But
true.
you see what I'm actually trying to pinpoint is the distance between the subjects and the sheet hanging on the broomstick or whatever.
The funny thing is, if you look at David Hall's right hand, the sheet there is got creases in it.
Well, I think that's
so. Yeah. I mean, it's not the top of it is out of focus, but the bottom of it isn't.
Yeah, I think you'll find that. Let's let Diana explain to us and see whether we can rearrange Diana's furniture in her conservatory. Diana,
well, no, you won't. You won't. It's a bit of a grab shop. This was a portrait workshop at the Salvation Army that we organised.
Right.
So it was a complete grab shot in that was all set up. And David is obviously being a silly arse and photobombing it. And I just quickly saw it. It had lighting already set up, proper studio lighting. And obviously the sheet was, I think, David brought. It was just hooked over a frame, very kind of makeshift, if you like.
Yeah.
So I had no control over the lighting.
Understand. Understand. But had you taken this and been in control of the setup, all I'm saying is a little bit more distance between the sheet and the people. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. Well, let's move on. So well done on that one, Diana. It's given us some very important discussion. That's what this is all about, after all. So thank you for that. But moving on to this one, and it's a little bit over enlarged on my screen. There we go. Just zipping down. Now that title is valid and important. Surprise, surprise. Yeah. Okay. It would be a surprise to have a little man on your anorak zip holding on. So that's quite amusing. And I quite like the amusing title. Good example of where the stroke line does separate the content of the photo from the backdrop on our screens. However, and should I say, it's a mid-grey, perhaps a little bit too near to white, but nonetheless it does the job. Thank you for that. Just sitting down. So well done on that one. That's another one of Diana's good ones. I like that. Nice idea. I have seen some other imaginative photos with these what shall I say, miniature people, which are interesting, but some of them are a bit silly. I think this is more of an answer to a challenge. So well done. That was the whole point of it. So let's move on from that. And Diana's walnuts. That's the most amazing nutcracker, if that's what it is. I've never seen a nutcracker with these sort of ends on them. It looks quite historic. Looks as if it's wrought iron. And having cracked the walnuts, surprise, surprise, there are nuts inside each of the shells. So that's very cleverly done. I'm just thinking that we might have a little debate about the title. Anyone got another title that they could suggest to Diana? This is very well conceived, very well photographed, and all compliments on your exposure, the aperture, shutter speed, and ISO. That's all great. Tabletop, love it, well set up, and it is a surprise. So it does the business. But what about the title?
Well, yeah, I had a bit of a discussion over that. I was going to call it Walnuts with a double L, but then I thought they're probably not walnuts, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
And then I was just going to call it Mixed Nuts. So yeah, I did, you know, try and think of something a bit more dynamic, but it didn't really work.
You know what I feel is that the titles are often the most difficult part of putting a photo into a competition. You've done all the photography marvelously well, and then you sit at home, we all do it, we'll sit at home thinking, what the devil am I going to call it? And anyone else who's got some good ideas for a bet? This is, you're suggesting to Diana a better title. Just speculate, just talk about it. Somebody shout something out, please.
Squirrels beat me to it. Because we never get our hazelnuts in the garden. We end up with empty shells.
Yeah, okay, good one.
You could just call it Nuts with a question mark.
Yeah. Or what a cracker, or something like that.
That's
Oh,
a good
like
one,
that.
yeah.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
good. That's going somewhere. That's
Yeah,
going
that's
somewhere.
good.
Nuts.
What was that, Terry?
Wrong nut.
Wrong nuts.
Wrong nuts. Yeah, okay. Well, on the criteria of what makes David laugh, I think that takes the walnuts. So yeah, well done. Thanks, Terry. So Diana, that's 3 ticks in your box. Well done, super duper. Let's go back and see whether we can go to Fred. Computer will let us, and it looks like surprise at Christmas. Yeah, so Fred's been given this surprise, and it looks like a glowing present. So he's opened it, and it's radioactive. It's glowing bright green. There are certain things that are radioactive and do glow green, but most of the radioactive materials that I've worked with do not glow at all in the visible spectrum. So here we are, we've got this green, weird green glow, and Fred has conjured it up as lighting him from below and to the left. So just talking about portraiture for the moment, it gives a spooky look to the person. In addition to which, there's a light coming, maybe it is another light, on the left of his face, which to me is a valuable lighting technique. Look at the way it's lit up, his cheeks and his nasal features and his head. It's giving some roundness to the portrait. Now, of course, this is set up to be spooky, and so enough's enough. But there is, I believe, there are two lights here, one coming from below, hidden behind the surprise as a green glow, and one coming from the left, which is perhaps a stronger light, which is lighting up the left-hand side of his face. All of that is very imaginatively done. What about the aperture? Anyone?
Would you want a fuzzy background, I suppose?
Yeah, I do. I do. Because the picture of the lovely Japanese lady and the Father Christmas and the, I don't know whether it's a lion dressed up as a Father Christmas, and the Christmas tree behind him, and the tabletop modern art image, they are all sharp too. As are the shadows of the picture frames. and so well thought of. It gives us a setting at a Christmas time, so I'm happy about that, but they are just a wee bit too sharp. Fred, do you know the aperture you took this at?
I can't think offhand. I'm thinking of 5.6. I'm not absolutely certain, David. The light coming from what was my right is I left the house lights on. And that's a pure accident, I assure you. I just had a flash in the box with a gel on it, green gel, and I fired it. Well, had the camera set up to fire it in the box.
Yeah. Now, was that a proper gel, or have you used the wrapper from one of those sweets that we've eaten in a previous photo?
No, I bought some gels.
Oh, right. Okay. You can use, those sweets that we saw in the previous
Quality Street.
Quality Street.
And you can use those cellophanes as gels.
Yeah.
But you'll find you burn them. So the heat of your flash gun will actually get them to singe level. So just be aware. But that's good. I liked it. You say that you left the room lights on by accident, but it worked. It worked rather well, and it gives the spooky effect. So surprise at Christmas. I like that very much. Well done, Fred. That's great.
Except that he's opened his present on the 24th, I noticed.
It was very late at night, though, Mum.
Yeah, but in Germany they open their presents on Christmas Eve, so he could be German.
Yeah. Oh, he could be. Yeah, this is true.
Right. Okay.
Well, I think it's very clever.
I do. But
Yeah.
I think it's good. I think it's good.
Absolutely.
Get back. Right. I don't know if you've ever seen this optical illusion that when the moon comes up, it seems a hell of a lot bigger than when it has risen. I know this is a compilation, but it just reminds me of seeing this for the first time. If you've ever seen the moon come up over the horizon in an urban landscape, it looks huge. It looks much larger than it is when it has risen into the sky. It really is an optical illusion. It's very well put together, and I like the way that. Am I going back to myself?
No, you're fine.
Right. Okay. I think we've got a bit of crosstalk there. I like the way that Fred has merged the image of the moon that no doubt he's taken himself. Otherwise, he's found somewhere else. It doesn't matter to me. And he has managed to retain the lines of the telephone wires or power lines, whichever they are, between the poles there. So that's very well done. Fred, what sort of technology did you use to merge these?
Elements. They're just layers.
Sorry, say again.
It was elements and it was layers, simple layers. I did take both these photos. They're not from Google or anything like that. This is actually outside my front door. And that's the thing, a surprise. If you look at what's outside your front door, you get a surprise.
Yeah. And I like the title. Look at the spelling, deliberate misspelling in the title. So that's a challenge in itself. So I like that. Anything that's a challenge to the judges and the audience, I think is good. We've got another slight problem. That if we look at the way the sun is coming, look at the sun coming in here, we can't actually see the shadow of the post, but we can see some light and some shadow here on the wall. So we've got an indication of where the sun is off of the screen over here somewhere, shining down here. And so that's useful. That means, doesn't it, if we knew what time of day this was, clearly it's not a winter's day with frost and snow, that this picture is roughly southwest, I guess, southwest. Of course, those of us that know A, where you live, and B, the view of the streets in that neighborhood, we could work out that a little bit better. So is the moon in the correct position? Now, when I was at one particular school, which need not be nameless, but it doesn't add anything to the conversation, an artist managed a picture of the school building, which is quite impressive, the roadside, with the moon in the sky behind it. The only problem was that the moon is never in the north, and the picture that the artist had drawn purported to show the moon in the north. And anyway, there you go. Well, not in the northern hemisphere anyway. It's never in the north. Might be in the southern hemisphere, I guess. Anyway, another story. Yeah, well done, Fred. Well composed. You've used elements and something else, but I missed the second part.
Layers, simple layers.
Oh, layers. Right. Sorry, I missed that. It's not very clear on my speaker. Yeah. Okay. Jolly good. Well done. Thanks, Fred. You can, of course, I have said to you, ladies and gentlemen, you can combine any of your pictures, much in the way that Mo entertains us every month, without fail, by combining bits of, dare I say, odd photos that he has gathered from the gutter or the bottom of his waste bin or wherever, and puts them together in the most imaginative and entertaining way. So do please experiment with combining photos for effect. It's only between us, it's only for a bit of fun. And as I may have said before, this whole thing is for fun. And if it doesn't cause a giggle and a smile and a laugh, as well as educating each other and learning from each other, well, you know, it's a pity if it doesn't, and this certainly does. So well done, Fred. I think it's great.
Could I ask Fred, did you have to cut along the skyline to get that effect?
Not particularly, Bill. I just blended the two photos together,
well,
and I took it like an eraser, if you like, and erased along the road and where they went into the picture of the moon. I just erased over it, so they were blended together in such a way that I could erase them. Took a black brush and just painted over it.
I was impressed by the fact you can see the telegraph wires. It must have taken some raising to get that so sharp.
No, it wasn't. No, it's just how much you put into it. You can actually reduce the amount of picture in it, can't you? I mean, you probably know better than me how to do this.
No, I was impressed. Yeah. I was impressed with that, particularly how you did that.
I would have thought you would have had to make a selection along the skyline to get that picture, and the skyline is pretty complicated, so I thought it must be very difficult.
No, it's just with a brush, Bill. That's all I did.
Oh, you did it with a brush, did you?
Yeah, you know, you.
Crikey.
You set up that the.
I bet that took a while then.
Yes, it did. Takes a little while.
Yeah.
Impressive. It's very good.
It's very good, very impressive. I would say that the latest version of Lightroom, which is playing silly bees with me at present, so I can't demonstrate it to you, would pick out that skyline perfectly at the click of one key.
Right.
And that is fantastically useful. I was going to show it to you, but my Lightroom is not behaving itself. I think I've screwed
the classic difficulty with this is picking out in a portrait the hair, isn't it? That's incredibly difficult.
It is. And there's no ducking it. It really is. Well, anyway, that's well done, Fred. So we'll go back to Fred's third one here, which is this rather marvelous ice crystals. Do they call that hoarfrost? Is that the right phrase? Surprise one morning. We're getting a bit used to this. My windows look a lot like that first thing in the morning, with these wonderful ice crystals on the outside of the window. Thank goodness they're not on the inside. but it demonstrates how good the double glazing is. I mean, it jolly well should, because it would cost me a lot to replace the double glazed windows. And not too certain why this lower one has become disjointed, or was that on the glass? I don't know. But there's a gap there that's irritating me a little bit.
Probably a cobweb. Isn't it a cobweb?
It could be, I suppose.
It is outside. It was just a twig in the garden. We had a very cold spell last month, didn't we? Like we've got today.
Yeah.
Yes.
I walked around the garden and this was out there. I was photographing cobwebs and bits and pieces, but this seemed more appropriate for me to put in today.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's good and very appropriate. You must have known it was going to be a very frosty morning when we would meet.
I made the arrangements, David.
Did it?
Yeah.
You put the shilling in the meter, did it?
Yeah.
I sometimes use that phrase when I go to clubs, and then I look around and remember that I then realise that most of the members don't know what shillings were. But there we are.
They don't know what meters are that you put money in, are they?
Yeah, tell me about it. It's another story. Yeah, okay. Yes. Well, I think that's very well taken. Did you have an explanation for us, Fred, of this disconnection?
I don't know. It's probably what Margaret said. It's perhaps part of a cobweb at one time.
Oh, yeah.
It's simply a tree in my garden. That's all it was.
A bit of thread hanging down that you can hardly see.
Yeah. I don't know whether there's anything in there. If I zoom in, I can't see any connection. You know that cobwebs are stronger than steel.
Yeah.
Amazing, isn't it? Absolutely amazing.
Why can't they make it?
Cobwebs. Well, it's very.
Well,
difficult.
they don't seem to be able to make that particular. Everybody says, "Oh, it's stronger than steel." Why don't they try using it for rope then, or something like that? You know, make the same chemical that the spiders can easily make.
Yeah, it
You've got to
was
milk
very...
those spiders.
Say again.
You've got to milk the spiders.
Well, that's really what they do to make silk. You know, the way that silk is made by a bug to then make the cocoon. Then these cocoons are collected. I've seen them doing it in India. The cocoons are collected and then put into boiling water, and the thread that the bug, the caterpillar, has made becomes loose. And they pick that up and unwind each of those cocoons to get the thread, and so they are surprisingly strong. Having achieved the thread, it then needs carding, you know, lining up and twisting into fibers that then make silk handkerchiefs or silk pillows or silk cloth. It's an amazing process, which I think came from China, like most things do these days, and it was then stolen by various other countries who jumped on the bandwagon and made their own version of silk. And silk is, as I understand it, the same chemical that spider web is. And I don't know what these silk moths bugs turn into in terms of, we know they're moths, and moths are insects and spiders are not, but nonetheless they're doing a very similar thing. But I've never actually seen silk moth. I've seen the cocoons and I've seen the caterpillars, but I've never seen the moths. So they must be breeding the moths in big Chinese vats somewhere as well. But anyway, great image, Fred. Well done for that. So thank you for that.
Here's another enigma. If the little bug or the caterpillar type thing is spinning out of its spinnerets, which are probably near its tail somewhere, and it waves it around, spinning it around itself, how does it start on the outside and finish up with a tighter thing on the inside? If you see what I mean, I
Yeah,
can't.
well, I think on the moth, the silk moth caterpillar.
Yeah.
I don't know which end of the creature the spinnerets are, and I think you're right. It's on a spider there at the tail end, but I'm not sure it makes any difference. But it's clearly got to make it from the outside inwards.
Yeah, I can't.
Because it's got to end up with a tight enough cocoon to protect
That's
itself.
right.
And
I could never understand that.
Metamorphose inside. It's absolutely, nature is wonderful, isn't it? Absolutely fantastic. And yeah, I mean, if you want to see a true miracle, don't want to upset anyone, but I'm talking about true miracles, then look at the world of nature.
Unless it makes it and then crawls inside it afterwards.
No, it doesn't. I'm pretty certain it doesn't. But metamorphosis, changing from a caterpillar into a silk moth or a butterfly, is a marvelous process. And I don't think that I've ever heard a full and convincing explanation. It just does. It's marvelous. It's a true miracle that we I don't think is there any money in exploring it? Probably not. The only money in research now, in scientific research, is for either defense, which is a polite way of saying armaments, or big pharma, that is to say medicines. That's why ICI, that you and I would know of as a manufacturer of soda crystals or other chemicals. Really, the product of ICI is PhDs. They produce PhDs, thousands every year, which is the product of the research that they've gone into, just as you will find in the medical and defense work that goes on. But anyway, that's another topic. Well done, Fred. I think that's given us lots of enjoyment. Thank you for that. Moving on then to Caroline's. Now, this is spooky. Caroline, you still with us?
Yes, I am.
Now, when do you get Christmas presents in Holland?
When do we open them? Christmas Day.
Right. Do you not do something on December the 6th or 12th or something like that?
Oh, yeah. Well, that's totally separate from Christmas.
Oh, is it?
Yeah,
Right.
It's something to do with history and Spain. And he was an actual bishop.
Right.
St. Nicholas was a Spanish bishop, and on his birthday, he used to give presents to poor children rather than receiving presents. And that's and because at the time, Holland was occupied by Spain, and still now, he comes by steamboat to Spain every year. Well, I don't think he comes all the way from Spain, but there is a special steamboat for Amsterdam, and the special day is on the news and everything, and all of Holland goes to Amsterdam to watch St. Nicholas arrive. And he rides a white horse. He's dressed as a bishop as well. He's not like Santa Claus with the hat and all that. He actually looks like a bishop. Right. And he rides the white horse, and he has helpers.
Yeah.
Good. Okay, thank you. Well,
but it's nothing to do with Christmas. Somehow it's got mixed up. But we have Christmas and St. Nicholas.
Yeah. Okay.
Don't the children put out their shoes or something?
Yeah, that's right. You put your shoe in the evening. They put their shoe by the fireplace with a carrot in it for the horse, and then in the morning they have a little present in it instead.
Yeah.
Because he comes down the chimney, his helpers come down the chimney.
What date is your St. Nicholas, the bishop?
That's on the 5th of December.
5th of December, right. Okay.
Yeah.
So here we have
somehow it got mixed up with Christmas, but it's nothing to do with it, because when I was little, all the kids got presents on the 5th of December, but we didn't do presents at Christmas. We just had all the Christmas stuff, like a Christmas tree and decorations, but no presents. But now they do both.
Yeah, yeah. Right, well, thank you for that. That's very interesting. So here we are, scary surprise. So you've been given a box of Cadbury's roses in Cadbury's purple, and inside there is a skeleton with this Father Christmas hat on. Rather good, imaginative image. I like that. Scary surprise. I like the title. It's well produced. Stroke line is great, and aperture, exposure, everything is great. Well done. Good title. I think that ticks the box for me. That's well done. So super duper. And anyone else have a comment to make on that?
You've added the hat later, Caroline.
Yes.
I can
yes,
see.
the mask is a proper mask that I put on the box of chocolates. But yes, I added the hat because it was Christmas.
Yeah, good. No, I like that. That's well done. Thank you for that one. Made me smile, and that's got to be the criteria. Let's have a look at Caroline's number 2. Frosts on a cobweb, and you can see something interesting about the structure of the cobweb. Now, just think, if I ask you to take a spool of cotton and replicate a spider's web, how on earth would you do it? I don't know, but we can see that the spider's web is formed from an attachment up here to an attachment down here to several attachments. And then this multiplicity, this multi-legged wonder of nature has managed to thread further supports between the leaves and the twigs, and then interweave all of these rather wonderful lattice work to catch insects, to catch its dinner. What a miracle that is, just in a spider's web. Further to which Caroline's captured it, caught by frost, and just kissed by the sunlight before it all melted away. And it's a photo that you can't replicate. You could do another one similarly, but like snowflakes, you can't replicate that spider's web ever again. So well done, Caroline. Very well taken.
I think I took this on the same morning that Fred took his frosty one, because I went all around the garden, and I didn't realize spiders made that many webs until they were frosty, and then they showed up.
Yeah, incredible, isn't it?
But I took loads of photos that morning, and all in the garden, and I had trouble picking which one, but I thought this one looked quite intriguing.
Yeah, no, I think that's really, really good. I do like that. It's an interesting photo. A Frosty Surprise, a good title. I like that very much.
I suppose the spider's expecting a Christmas fly.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, it's amazing that they bother to do it in that kind of weather, because there's not many flies about, is there?
No, what surprised me is that there were so many webs all over the place, but there were I couldn't see any spiders.
Yeah, I was going to ask you that. Where is the spider?
They must have all gone somewhere warm.
Yeah,
wazing, isn't it?
Yeah, okay. Well, very well done. Frosty Surprise does it for me. I like that very much, Caroline. Well done on seeing it. I'm sure the neighbours appreciate you going out in the garden when it's frosty like that, and taking photos. And we'll have a look at these 2 children. Well, it's 1 child. And surprise, it's me. Oh, yes, we've all played with 2-year-olds. And isn't it fun? Isn't it fun? I can't see you, so you can't see me. Surprise, it's me. And then you have to be.
Yeah, my son, when he was little, used to hide behind a lamppost because he thought we couldn't see him.
Yeah.
The ostrich syndrome. Yeah, I like that. Yeah, it surprises me. And it makes sense to have the 2 photos conjoined in this way, so that we understand what the child is doing. And so that's rather lovely. I like that very much. Surprise, surprise, it's me. Is this one of yours, Caroline?
Yeah, I'll have to confess that I took we saw her on FaceTime, our granddaughter in America.
Yeah.
And we were FaceTiming, so, but I took a whole series of photos while we were playing peekaboo with her. So they're actually screenshots.
Well, why not? Why not? The technology is there. Why not use it? I mean, we're using it, and isn't it marvelous technology? And yeah, I compliment you on that. Well done, Caroline. And the title ticks the box for me, so thank you for that. I want to come back to criticisms, a bit personal, but I'll be personal for a minute, and that is the criticism that I choose photos that I like or make me laugh. Well, yes, I do, and make no apology for that. But I also choose photos for you all. I didn't choose the photos, you chose to put them up, which have something to teach us, where we can learn from each other. I'm not here to teach you. I'm here to learn from other people much as you are. And if I can throw in my pennyworth, and if it's of any use to you, then I'm as happy as Larry. I don't know where that phrase comes from, but there we go. So we have this rather marvelous frosty window from Mags. And look at those wonderful ice crystals. Aren't they superb? Really, really good. And I remember, I think it was last winter, or maybe before COVID even, when the ice crystals were making almost like curved patterns on the windscreen of the car. And it was just in between freezing and being frosted over, so you couldn't see what's on the windscreen. In fact, looking at my windscreen now out of the window, it's just a wall of white frost. So I can't actually perceive the crystals that are forming, but these crystals are in the process of growing. And again, all of these are unique. A marvelous capture of the ice crystals on the windows. I love it, absolutely love it. Now, I would suggest, if it's up to it, if your file size is up to it, that would make a fantastic print. And in addition, if you were to turn it into a jigsaw puzzle, it would be the very devil to do as a jigsaw puzzle. But there you go. I think it's great. I love it. So what do we think about this then, ladies and gentlemen?
Yeah, marvellous.
Yes, good.
Yeah. Can I just ask Mags? It looks like it's on a window, but the caption says tree. Was it a Christmas tree or was it a window?
Christmas trees is referring to the frost shapes they've made.
Yeah.
It's on the window of a greenhouse. Hopefully thankfully my house isn't that cold.
Yeah, no, I think it's very well captured at just the right moment. If you waited very much longer, those crystals would have joined up and obliterated these rather marvelous Christmas trees. I mean, there's a wonderful Christmas tree there. There's another marvelous one there. Wherever you look, there's smaller and smaller Christmas trees. And if you do the science on it, the number 6 keeps creeping in. And that's because of the shape of the water molecule and the way that these molecules stick together in random patterns. Absolutely fantastic. Why is it the number 6? Well, I'll tell you when you're older. Very, very good. Well done, Mags.
This was taken in the morning, just before the hoarfrost melted. Sort of probably about an hour ago, probably 9:30, 10 o'clock time.
Yeah. No, that's great. That's great. I love it. Yeah, do please turn it into a print, and do please turn it into a jigsaw puzzle.
No, don't do jigsaws.
But you could give it to someone that would appreciate it as a jigsaw puzzle, or you would enjoy them being totally frustrated by trying to do it, because it's great. I love it. Well done. Well done, Max. Let's go
Thank you.
to the next one, which I should be able to find here. And here we have a ghost shop. That's a surprise, isn't it? Oh, look. So she's employed, probably Dave, to cover himself up with this ghostly sheet. And she's only got one hand on her heart, and the other hand, I guess, is on a cable release on the camera, unless you've taken it on delayed action, which is perfectly fine. And you have to read the title on the book to appreciate what's going on here. Hilarious poetry. Well, there's a hilarious ghost in this case. I love it. Yeah, very well conceived, well taken. It's a bit of fun. Ghost shock. I like it. Super duper. Well done, Max.
It's actually taken off a video on my phone.
Right.
And that's just a shot from the video.
Right. Yeah.
And
yeah.
Mobile phone was just stuck on the desk because it was a video for my granddaughter, because it was Halloween, and I was reading her a ghostly poem, and Dave was being silly. The whole video is absolutely amazing, but then there you go.
Yeah, no, that's really good. That's really good. So well done, Matt. Thank you for that one. And now I don't think that's Dave dressed up, but you might tell me I'm wrong.
No, it's not Dave.
And here is either a puppet or a person dressed as Father Christmas, and all the lights are around the globe. And I'm just looking at whether you've got any lights where I used to live in Africa. I think you actually have. Yes, you have, up in the north of my country in West Africa. So yeah, good image. And we are hearing echoing coming back. Is it echoing or somebody talking on?
Yeah, somebody's talking. Yeah.
Right. Okay. So.
Go away.
Santa's route. Santa's route. Well, if you join up all the dots, you can no doubt make a spider's web, and that's lovely. Yeah. Okay. Santa's route. I like that. Does it really form a surprise? Is there surprise in this image?
Isn't it the amount, because it's called Santa's route, is it the amount of lights? See how many routes Santa takes. Is that a surprise? Max?
Well, it's always a surprise when you wake up Christmas morning and you're a child and Santa's actually left you something. You never know what you're going to find, and there you go.
Yeah, no, it's a good idea. Good idea. I like it. And where was this? Is some sort of grotto somewhere, or is
That's one of our trips out to Alton Garden Centre last Christmas.
Ah, right.
Not this Christmas, just gone the Christmas before.
Yeah, good. Yeah. Oh, that's good. Well done. Thanks, Max. Let's go on to Mo now. Oh, what a surprise, he says. And it's a coming book.
Can I just explain the title, David?
Yes.
Do you know the song where that is the second line?
No. Would you sing it to us, please?
It's two lovely black eyes. Oh, what a surprise.
Only for telling a man he was wrong. Who did you tell was wrong?
Well, if a man said it, it's wrong. He's wrong.
He's got a boxing ring in the background.
Well, that's how he got his two black eyes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Those are not my eyes, I have to tell you.
Oh, right.
No.
They don't look particularly black.
No, they don't. I was thinking that. But there again, also, Mo, I don't think your head is that distorted. It may be distorted, but it's not distorted that much.
Oh, I think it is.
Oh, dear.
Oh, I don't know. It looks about the same. It's a very small picture, though, I'm looking at, of the real Mo.
Well, I suspect that the lens that was being used is a very short focal length lens, which distorts things. And it's not done a lot for Mo's hedge. Yeah. Anyway, yeah. Oh, what a surprise! Yeah, something about the black eyes. They don't look very black to me, but there you go. Thanks a lot. We needed to know the song to be able to understand the title.
Yeah, I thought that might go over your head, David.
Well, yeah. Being a very delicate flower, you understand. I'm not up with those things. But there you go. 4 aces. What a lucky shot that is. Not that I believe in luck. You know, it's there you go. He's dug out the aces and put them together. And this, presumably, for those that know about gambling, is a winning hand. I know nothing about gambling. I refuse to engage upon it, and I get very irritated by the media thinking that we're all into horse racing and betting on football matches.
Yeah.
I've never been in a betting shop in my life, and I'm not intending to go in one. But yeah, I know for sure. Well, I think I know for sure that that's going to be a winning hand and will achieve whatever they're betting with or on. Or I do remember when I was a kid, we used to use matchsticks, but I got bored with that, and I've never seen a fascination with card games myself. But I know people. Yeah, I know. When I was a student, lots of people really lost their degrees by just focusing on gambling. I don't know what the gambling games were, but I saw them all going on all over the place, and they weren't spending enough time on studying on their studies. But I appreciate the photo; it's well taken. We have this sort of dislocated arm. This hand has been chopped off and is holding this winning hand of cards, and the title goes with it. Is it a surprise? I guess it would be if you do the stats on your chances of being dealt 4 aces when you are playing a card game. If you play a card game, what's the statistical chances of getting 4 aces? Well, how many cards are there with a heart on them? I guess it's 13, but I don't know. 1 in 13 for each of them, so 1 in 13 times 1 in 13 times 1 in 13 times 1 in 13. Work out the answer to that. I haven't got the calculator with me, but it's going to be a very small statistical chance.
A surprise, even.
It would even be a fantastic surprise, and would cause me to go into the statistics. I can't see anything dividing the image itself.
Deliberate. Quite deliberate, David.
Yeah. I appreciate that, but not quite what I was going to say. There is no background showing where my cursor is moving, and no distinct difference between the background away from that hand. So I'm going to guess that Mo has cut out just the hand and the cards, fingers, and put that onto a black background so that the computer does not recognize other than the hand on the screen, on the image, which is cunningly done, and quite clearly, as Mo says, it's deliberate. You really don't need a stroke line. Sometimes I think I have sounded as if every photo needs a stroke line. Well, it doesn't. And in this case, it's a good example of it not needing one. So well done on that. Something for us to consider there, Mo. Well done. Thank you. So moving on from that to this daisy, which has erupted from an egg in an egg cup. And not only are we surprised that a daisy has grown from an egg, but also that this daisy has eyes and mouth and teeth and a nose on it. So what a surprise. An unexpected hatchling, super title, and a delicious stroke line in a raspberry flavored red.
What?
Hey, green.
What?
It's green, or it's a cyan colour on my screen.
I think he's winding Mo up.
It looks red to me, David. It looks like, no problem.
There you go. There you go. No, it's great. An unexpected hatchling. And of course, we are now in the world of science able to extract the DNA from a pansy and insert it into the DNA of a chick embryo, the embryo of a chick, and see what hatches. And I am told that the Chinese are particularly good at doing this and mixing the genetics of species and at great risk, not least to solve the riddle of where did COVID come from? And
oh God,
Oh.
not come from nowhere, but here we are. An unexpected hatchling. I love it. Really well composed. You know what I was saying earlier about Mo's skills and ability at taking bits of photos and putting them on. Really well done. And he's demonstrated his skill in using a red stroke line. So well done, Mo. Thank you very much for that. And that's lovely. Would you be able, I don't know if you can do this. Are you doing this on one of those eye things?
I'm doing it on one of those eye things. Yes. As indeed I do everything on one of those eye things.
Yeah, might I suggest that you have a colour picker, and if you know that this is an egg, so I'm sure you can discern the colour of the shell. Had you chosen to pick with your colour picker on your eye thing, the colour from the shell, or possibly the colour from the what do you call this, egg cup? Well, you've got some delicious colours in here on the inside of the shell. Not necessarily the red of the pansy, and to choose one of those colours to then make a stroke line, rather than just choosing from an artist's palette this delicious red that you've chosen. It's raspberry red, isn't it? It's marvelous. But I think you could have chosen, if you have a color picker on your eye.
Yes, I do. I take your point.
Yeah, might have been possible, but as it is, it gave me something to talk about. So thank you very much for that. I love the picture. Well done, Mo. Super.
How many different components was that, Mo?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
7.
Yeah.
And that's in layers, is it, Mo?
Yes, of course.
7.
Yeah, good. Yeah, well done. Super duper. Keep taking the medicine. And Terry, now I think, if I'm not mistaken, Terry's only given us one image to chew back on. An unusual dad's surprise. So Marks and Spencer's Cotton Rich socks. There's a hell of a lot of socks in that packet. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Is it 7? There might even be more. A packet of 7 socks. Is that what it is?
One for each day of the week.
Ah, yes.
Oh, is that what it is? Do you mean we're supposed to use a fresh pair of socks every day of the week?
Dad usually gets a surprise of socks because they can't think of anything else to buy.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. That's why I've got an overflowing drawer full of. I get gloves. I've got an overflow of gloves.
You can never have too many gloves.
No.
No, not this weather.
It's true.
Do you not wear 2 pairs at the same time?
No way. Anyway, Dad's unusual surprise.
No, it's usual, not unusual. It's usual.
Usual Dad's surprise. Yeah. Good. Yeah, I can see it now. And
Yeah.
it's 7, one for every day of the week. Got it. So this implies we fellas are supposed to have a clean pair of socks on every day.
You mean you don't, David?
Well, every September. But no, that's good. Thanks, Mo. That's great. So
You could have a pack of 12 for each month.
that makes more sense. That makes more sense. Golly gosh, they'd be walking home on their own. They wouldn't be worth washing at that stage.
Is that what you got, Terry?
Actually, I did, yeah.
Yeah. I usually get shirts I can't wear.
Yeah. Well, there's a charity shop up the road. Somebody gave me, my daughter gave me a banana hanger.
Oh yes, I know.
What the devil am I going to do with the banana hanger? Don't
They're
say
quite
there's
useful.
bananas on it.
No, you stuff it full of chorizo.
They're quite useful because you're supposed to keep bananas separate from the rest of the fruit.
Really? Is that right?
I keep my bananas in the fridge. They last longer.
Oh, they say not to do that.
I know, but they last. If they're yellow when they go in, they don't go horribly brown.
Yeah,
they're quite useful. That fact is because they exude a chemical gas, a gaseous chemical, which if you have green tomatoes at the end of your growing season, you put all your green tomatoes in a paper bag with a banana, wrap it up airtight, put it in a dark drawer. When you open it a week later, some of your green tomatoes will have ripened.
Yeah.
And
it's either methylene or ethylene, something like that.
Also good for ripening avocados.
Is that right? Oh, right. Okay.
I just sit my avocados by my bananas, if I want them the avocados to ripen, and give them 2 or 3 days, and they will.
Yeah. Well, that is this ethylene.
How do you ripen ready-to-eat mangoes that you buy from Lidl's?
Well, you start.
You don't buy them in the first place.
Don't buy any fruit from Lidl because it's all bruised or broken or rotting by the time you get it to your front door.
You buy stuff from Lidl's and it never seems to ripen. You get a mango that's rock hard and it says ready to eat.
Mango should only be eaten from the tree and the juice runs down your arm.
Is that right?
It is, yes. They don't not many mango trees in England.
Must be hell picking mangoes then.
Enormous trees.
Yeah.
Oh. Things we learn on a photographic course.
Well, this is a wide, wide-ranging church. You know, I mean, we've talked about the color palette in Mo's images. We've talked about the miracle of the figure 6 in the molecule of water. We've talked about the wondrous route that Father Christmas takes and the statistical chances of getting anything useful when being dealt with cards. We've approached DNA modification in this picture of Mo's here and the effect of short focus lenses. So this is a wide-ranging discussion, which if the Americans, or more likely the Russians, are listening in on, they're probably going to enter it into their database about our proclivities. But there you go. Good luck to the Russians. No, I don't mean that. But why not? We can talk about anything. Nothing's terribly
off limits.
Off limits. That's the word I'm groping for. So, what have we got for the winner today? Then, well, I'm sorry I won't be meeting you this afternoon, but I really am up to my neck in things I have to do rather than things I want to do. Well, I was particularly taken by Brenda's chorizo, so I think that really is one of the winning photos. So Brenda's, where have I got Brenda? Yeah, and that's Brenda's number 2. I very much like and am intrigued by Diana's nutcrackers, with the surprise being the nuts inside the shell. So I like that. And that's Diana's number 3. Fred's one here has got something to teach us about portraiture. And so there we are. I haven't told you what the project is, but remember what I've said. And let's go also to Fred's composite here of the moon. I didn't say anything about the moon image itself, although I did hear Fred say it's one of his own, and that's fine. Isn't it marvelous putting your long lens on, putting a tripod in, and trying to get photos of the moon? It's absolutely fantastic to see the craters and the topology of the surface of the moon. I'm fascinated by that. As with the new telescope, whatever it's called, that's been launched, and the images from that are absolutely astonishing. So thanks for that, Fred. And I like very much, I like your crystals, just as I liked the Caroline's cobweb here. So well done on that. I've already commented on that fantastic one from Mags. That's Mags is number 1. And the Terry's socks, I thought, made us think. And this raspberry red stroke on Mo's pansy with DNA problems. It's got a DNA personality crisis. And thank you for the raspberry red stroke line. It gave us something to talk about. So what are we doing here? Well, looking at, if we have to have a winner, I'm going to concatenate, if you know what that means, put together Brenda's Chorizo, that one, as one of the winning in my selection, shall I say, and Diana's nutcrackers, the walnuts. I think we had some better titles for that, but nonetheless, that was super. And I think the image of Mags's crystals. So they would be the 3 that I would wish to put together as a submission from us to the International Photographic Competition of the world. And so well done to all of you. Now, what are we going to do next? Well, I'm just going to refer back to Fred's moon shot here. And this is one of the categories of street photography. Now, there's street photography and street photography. You can take a picture of the street that you live on, and it can be stunningly boring because nothing's happening, nothing's interesting, and it's just another photograph of your street. So it really wouldn't be admissible in one of our rather particular and elite contests. Nonetheless, it's street photography, which is of streets, roads, architecture, what you can see, but it's got to be something interesting. If there were, let's say, a policeman stopping a double-decker bus from falling down a pothole, then you know that it would be about something rather than of something. Documentary photography is defined as being about something rather than of something. What does that mean? Something's got to be happening, something's got to be intriguing, something draws us in to look further at what this is about. So as far as documentary photography, this really wouldn't tick the box. I know it's not what Fred has entered this for, and I feel certain he's not going to criticize or not going to be too insulted by me saying that isn't going to tick the box in documentary photography. On the other hand, you might say, well, it is, 'cause the moon's coming up in one direction. Well, documentary photography is limited by the inability or the inadmissibility of adding moons. So it has to be about something strange coming in from in this case, from the heavens, from space. So street photography has many categories. One is about streets. The other is about something happening in the street. Now, again, if I go back to our images here, there's one I was thinking of picking on. Now, if, for instance, Mag's image was happening in a street rather than in a room, and she happened to have a spooky book under her arm, or she was reading on a roadside bench, and there was some clown dressing up as a ghost behind her, then that perhaps would be admissible. So it can have people in it, so long as it's about what they are doing. So one of mine I was going to show you, but my Lightroom is playing silly bees with me, is of a huge street side advert for mobile phones, and the whole of the advert is plain white, except for the logo that goes, it's probably 25 feet wide, and it's advertising a certain brand of mobile phone. That in itself is a photo of an advert, so it's not admissible. But the photo I took is somebody walking past it whilst holding their mobile phone to their ear. So there's a connection between the person holding their phone and the advert they are passing. You might equally find some graffiti. I have another one that, again, I was going to show you, but Lightroom won't allow, of somebody actually doing graffiti on a bridge in Berlin, I believe it is. And so it's street photography can be architectural, it can be dynamic, that something is happening. The bus is about to fall down the pothole in Fred's Road, and the policeman is stopping this from happening. It can be about the people either holding their mobile phones or playing Keepy Uppy, if you know what Keepy Uppy is. I'm sure that you do. If you don't, please tell me and I'll explain it to you. Or it could be about the people who are playing a game. I have some people in where is it, Myanmar, Burma, who are playing chess in a street side chess game, an intellectual challenging game, not just a game of chance, which I suspect cards are. Though card players may tell me, no, there's much more structure to it than that. And I don't know, frankly, I don't want to know, because I don't want to get into the time wasting gambling on card games. So there we are. So your challenge, ladies and gentlemen, is street photography. Now, the location I was going to take you to, but I do apologize, I've just run out of time for things I must do. Your challenge is street photography, and your location was to be Chelmsford, to sit inside a warm cafe where you photograph out through the window, or to sit outside with your warmest gloves and scarves and hats on and photograph the people going by doing things, or anywhere else. So street photography could include, for instance, what are they called? Sexton digging a grave, or it could include a guy doing something else in the outdoors, a guy or a girl, a lady or a gentleman. Street photography can be almost anything except boring, uninteresting, uninvolving events. It's got to be about something rather than of something. So don't give me a picture of St. Mary's Church. Because unless there's a man working on the roof, another one I was going to show you is of some painters painting a temple, doing the artwork on a temple in Bangkok, and marvelous Chinese temple in Bangkok with a man on a ladder painting the ornamentation on that temple. If I can get my Lightroom working, I might prepare a little piece on that, just put some photos together. And Mo, if it's okay with you, I'll send that across to you as a little party piece you can have in my absence when I am unfortunately, well, fortunately, viewing the lions in East Africa. But I'll leave that as a promise, and when I can fulfill it, I will, hopefully ready for your February meeting, for which I will think of you, but I promise you there will be no internet in East Africa. I know about these things, so there we are. So Happy New Year to everyone. Thank you very much for participating. I hope everyone has learned something one way. And Mo, it's over to you, is it?
Well, it depends what people want to do next month. I was wondering, David, if it would be possible for you to do a written short critique on our efforts on street photography. What do you think? Then we could have something rather.
Yeah, that's possible. I don't know if we can record a private Zoom, and we can basically do this before the event. I mean, I go away on the 10th, I think it is, or the 9th of February. So the pressure will be off by then. It'll just be a case of whether my visa has come through and whether I caught the plane to go to East Africa. So yeah, that's a possibility.
Well, I just think that would be more useful to us if we had your critique, if it's just in writing.
Yeah.
A couple of paragraphs on each one.
My only problem, yeah, I'd say yes to that. Why not? Of course. My only problem is your deadline. I believe the date is the 30th, because February begins on a Wednesday, which makes it a bit of a bind. But let me just see.
Could we move our deadline forward so we've actually finished it before you go away? Would that make life easier for you or more difficult?
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to introduce more anxiety to people on. It's the 15th.
What you mean, bring the actual Zoom session forward?
No, just bring our date of submission forward. Yeah. So we've submitted them, so David gets a chance to look at them before he goes. Yeah. And he can completely forget about us while he's away.
The other option is to bring the meeting forward. So
yeah, the problem with that is that people's diaries are geared around fixed points, and the fixed point that we are discussing is the third Wednesday of the month. And if, like some people I know are fully subscribed to their U3A meetings, you bring it to the second or even the first Wednesday of the month, it will conflict with doing basic French or advanced German or art class.
Well, let's have a hands up. Who could do the second Wednesday?
Well, yeah, I've got another idea to save putting pressure on David. I've got a crib sheet about doing a critique that we could all, if I sent it to everybody, a copy, everyone could have their say on certain criteria that you use for judging the images. Are you with me? So we could all contribute. It would be like a self-critique, in that everybody could have a go at saying, you know, something about each image. I don't know. It's only an idea, but
that means we've got to look at all the images before.
How are we
going to do that?
do that? I think it's a good idea.
Well, either do one image at a time and then look at the prompts for what you've got to comment on. I mean, they're all the things that David would comment on, like the title. Would you change the title? Do you think the aperture's suitable? You know, that kind of thing. But I don't know.
Yeah, this sounds useful actually, but let me say that I became a judge because I got so fed up with the judges that I thought if I can't do better than they are doing, then I should be stopped. And there are so many poor judges, a lot of them the EAF have got rid of. And basically what I did was to try to summarize the best of the judges, the best of the judges' techniques, and to emulate the best judges. Now, the best judge I've ever seen is a guy called David Steele. If you've ever come across David Steele, he, I think, is the epitome of a grade A judge. On the other hand, I won't name them, but there are certain persons that, frankly, I wouldn't bother going to. I certainly wouldn't bother inviting. And I used to be the program secretary for Benfleet, and it was the very devil of a job to get judges at all. Now, that was well before COVID that I gave up doing that job and let somebody else have that job. It's quite an arduous job to book judges, but it's got worse because lots of judges have given up over COVID. Lots of judges are getting older. Well, we're all getting older. I've had a birthday since I spoke to you all. And that's bridge, another nail in the coffin. But
happy birthday.
Yeah, thank you. It's not today, it's gone.
Happy unbirthday.
Thank you. Thank you.
Happy belated birthday.
I didn't get the cake, David. I didn't.
Yeah, cake day. That's an Americanism. Oh, I do hate Americanisms. I detest Americanisms. They call it a cake day.
Oh dear.
I hate it. But there you go. But what I'm saying is, I'm not classing myself as the be-all and end-all of judges. You'll all have seen in your various clubs good judges and not so good judges. And I suggest to you that you could perhaps put your mind to what was the best of the judges you've most recently seen, and what was the particular part of their presentation that you enjoyed. I mean, I loved going to a class, not a class, well, I turn them into a class. I love going to a club where I can share a joke with them, where I can have a little bit of banter with them. I'm not talking about they harangue me, they don't. But you know, I'll ask for a comment, I'll ask for an opinion, I'll ask for people to add their two pennyworth to what I've just said. And then I feel that I've turned a club into a class, and I can manage them as I would a class at school, you know, my A-level physics class, and we can talk about things and they can agree or they can disagree, but we will part friends. I hate going to one particular club, and they have had the, shall I say, anyway, they've had the nous to book me for next year when it's a live judging. You know, in internet judging, it's so stunningly boring because you get no feedback. It's not like what we do when I say to, let's say I'm looking at Bill on the screen, and well, Bill, what do you think? Or Caroline, what's your opinion? You know, or Terry, can you speak up? Now, what did you say, Bella? And we can have an interaction. Well, there's one club I go to. It's a very senior club. Well, they think they're very senior, and they're like tombstones. They don't say a dicky bird. It's as if the headmaster's standing there and saying, you must not speak to the judge. You must not argue with the judge. You must not respond to the judge. Just sit. And I think, oh, boring experience. And, you know, if I've got to drive back at 11 o'clock at night, having had that experience from 35 miles away, 35 miles to get there, 35 miles to get back, and it's not an enjoyable experience. So as far as a list of criticism techniques or critiques that you might have a sort of a crib sheet on, think of the best judges you've ever seen and emulate yourselves as judges, which you all are. You're all judges on this program. My title is Improving Photography. If we don't go away from our chat on the third Wednesday of the month, having learned something from each other, then I'm disappointed. And
okay, can we formalize then what we're going to do next month? So, Diana, you say you've got a format that you could forward to us.
Yeah.
So why don't we just have a general discussion based on your critique sheets?
Well, don't feel you've got to do that, but it just.
No, I think it's a good idea.
I think you learn quite a lot by doing the critique yourself. You know, of what to look for, and you know, I don't think anyone will be upset if we critiqued each other's images.
I'm sure we can do it without too much aggravation, I would imagine. Well, be kind to each other.
Well, you can be, you know, it's all subjective anyway, but, you know, I think it'd be interesting to see what comments get thrown up.
Yeah, it's got to be constructive criticism.
That's it, constructive criticism.
Yeah.
That's what it's got to be. And the key word is constructive.
Exactly.
If you just say, well, this is a schlecht photo, next, it's not being constructive, the author's upset, no one's learned anything. Whereas if you say, well, what was the aperture? What are you focusing on? What's the brightest subject? Is the horizon straight? And put it that way, I think it's more constructive. But I leave that to your tender loving care.
Well, we'll just say what would David say. That's what we'll do.
Yeah.
Okay, so can we say that's what we'll do then? We'll meet as usual on the third Wednesday, 10 o'clock. We'll have your sheets, critique sheets, Diana. And we'll all chip in with our comments. That would be fine.
So when are we going to look at the pictures?
As they come in. Well, you can look at it on the day, or I mean, it's good to be prepared, isn't it?
Yeah.
Well, I think most people have a look on the website before the day we meet anyway. And then
this is it. I mean, if you've got to do this sheet beforehand.
No, you haven't got to do it. We do it as they on the day, on the Zoom, we go round and if you agree, just have a crib sheet of what we're looking for, certain criteria or whatever to comment on. And then you just go round, like Bill's next on the screen, then Terry, then Max, and then Fred, you know, go round, each adding to the critique. I don't, you know, I'm open. That's only a suggestion.
I think it's a good suggestion. I would vote.
I agree with Mo.
Yeah,
I agree with that as well. Yes.
Obviously, Bill doesn't.
I probably won't be there, to tell you the truth.
Well, Bill can just watch and just not contribute if he doesn't want to, but he can just come along.
Okay.
Don't have to critique it.
I've not got a good. Sorry, I've got to go. I've got a telephone call. Sorry.
Well, even though he's not listening, I will say that Bill's criticisms, Bill's contributions are valid.
Yeah,
and
I was just going to say that. Yes.
I don't want Bill to feel that we're dismissing him. He always says something worthy of our attention.
Yeah.
Yeah. There he goes. He's off in his phone call. Oh, he's coming back. Okay. All right. So I will wish you well in your endeavours. If you choose to go to Chelmsford, I'm sorry. I did have a coffee shop in mind, but you can go whenever and wherever you like. And if you go in pairs, you don't feel too vulnerable, because you can sit and share a conversation and have your camera out taking photos in Southend or even in Hadley. I mean, I did walk around in Hadley on a little project of my own during COVID shutdown, because we were allowed out for 1 hour at a time, weren't we? So I spent my hour walking around looking at shut down shops with signs pertaining to COVID So my little project during lockdown was COVID lockdown, which gave me something to do, apart from watching the grass grow and walking around the woods. But there you go. So you choose wherever you like. My initial thoughts were Chelmsford because it's accessible. You can go on Park and Ride, so it's essentially free, or you can catch the number 6 outside my front door, and it is free, though it takes a while to get there. Could you take pictures inside the bus, inside the tube train, inside the surface train? Well, yes, you can. Remembering at all times that the law is that you can take photos in a public space of whoever you like. That can include policemen, police women, especially if they're sexy police women.
Mind what you're saying.
Well, nice looking police women, say it that way. And children, you can take pictures in a public space. You can't take pictures, as you will find out at Canary Wharf, without a pass or a permit. You will find that lots of Jobsworths will approach you and express their opinion. So as far as Chelmsford is concerned, in the I don't know what it's called, there's an undercover walkway shopping place. There they don't like you taking pictures there, and I was approached by one of their Jobsworths, and you can't take pictures in here. Well, I'm not. I'm looking at the pictures I took on the outside. So be aware that you are allowed, and in a public space, to take pictures of whoever, whatever you like.
Okay. Thank you.
So I will wish you well, and wish you well in your endeavours. I shall look forward to seeing your images after I get back. And if Mo is kind enough to record it, then the Chinese or the Russians can listen into our conversation. They're no doubt listening in anyway, which I suspect is that crosstalk that we were getting earlier from somebody talking in the background. So don't get arrested. Don't do anything I wouldn't do. Or if you do, make sure you can run fast.
Well, have a good trip.
Right.
Thank you very much.
Enjoy your trip, David.
What were you going to say, Bill?
Well, as I'm saying, I know I've got a small operation in the beginning of February, so I'm not too sure whether I'll be at the meeting or not. Anyway, that was my main reason. I've got a bit of a start, a lot of things going on at the beginning of February as well. So I probably won't get anything in. So as is usual. No. So don't bother to disregard me, and don't send me a crib sheet or all that kind of stuff. But I might be there at the Zoom meeting.
Okay. Yeah. Well, good luck with that.
Well, all the best with that, Bill. It won't depend on luck. It depends on the skill of your consultant and their training. You don't want the apprentice. Make it clear to your consultant, you don't want the apprentice wielding a blade at your body. You'd rather have the experienced surgeon.
I think you're lucky to get anybody these days.
If you get any choice, it'd be marvelous. It's not a major thing. It's only I've got a thing on the top of my head that's got to come off.
Oh yeah.
I might be bald next time. No, I'll really have my hat on.
Are you referring to your cap? They're going to surgically remove your cap, aren't they?
All right. Well, I wish you well, and wish you well in your endeavours. I will think of you, but not for very long, on the third Wednesday in February.
Yeah.
And view your video.
Have a good trip.
On my return. Yeah. Thank you very much.
Have a safe trip.
Thank you. I'm just hoping I get a visa. I'm still waiting on the visa to go through. So there we are. Okay. Bye, folks.
Yeah. Bye, David.
Cheers.
Bye, Bye. Yeah. Be in touch, Mo.
One thing. Oh, is it all gone?
No.
There's a strange flashing going on the screen of your your
picture.
Yeah. Have you got it as well?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's where you put the background on. It's Caroline.
On Caroline's picture.
I don't know what's happening. I don't know how to get rid of it. I don't even know how to get rid of the background either.
Yeah. What with that and the interference?
If you move around, it will make the background flash.
No, it's not in time with the speech. I just wondered why it was happening. So.
No, Caroline, can you just move from side to side?
I've just done that. See, if I put my arm up,
it
gets worse. I wanted to get rid of the background altogether, but I can't remember how it goes.
All right. We'll leave you to do that before next time.
Okay. I'll have to consult Mo, I think.
Yeah.
Well, it's easily done.
Yeah, cheerio, Bill. Good luck.
Bye-bye.
So what's happening today then?
Well, nothing, obviously.
Anything?
Nothing's happening today.
So we're all going to sit by our heaters nice and warm.
Yeah.
No, I'll be
Bye-bye.
Bye, Bill. Yeah.
Bye.
Yeah, cheerio, everybody.
Bye.
Yeah.